And welcome in, everybody, back to the Two Guys in Beer podcast here in the beautiful studio. We got our beers ready to go. Andy and Sean set to review another beer and another brewery. Today we're going to be talking about Millstream Brewing Company out of Amana, Iowa.
You know, this is one we can probably go to this one too. It's close enough.
You know, we've made those comments a couple of times. And so we're going to have to, maybe that'll be the summertime. It'll be the Two Guys in Beer summer tour.
Oh, no, that's an idea. There we go. I like the way you're thinking. Well, we've been to some of these breweries before. You know, I made it up to the one in Michigan. We could make it to the one in Iowa, and we just got to do it.
There we go. We'll just make it happen.
That's what we do here at Two Guys in Beer. We just make shit happen.
Something like that, at least. I would think that some people would say we make bullshit happen.
Well, we do that too.
A lot of that happening. But, you know, that's how you end up in this situation in the first place. So, but yeah, we're talking about Millstream. We're talking about Shenanigans. Shenanigans Irish Ale. So, kind of astute for the time of year is timing wise, like this should be coming out right around the time of St. Patrick's Day. If you're checking in and listening well after the fact, maybe you're just you haven't set your clock back, and so it's going to be St. Patrick's Day or something. But I don't know, it'll be fun anyway, you know. And who doesn't like some shenanigans?
Oh, we all like some shenanigans.
Exactly. So Millstream Brewing Company is out of Amana, Iowa. Which, if you look at it on the map, it's, let's see here, where is it? It's going to be a little bit southwest of Cedar Rapids, situated right in between East Amana and Middle Amana, which is also just past West Amana and north of South Amana.
I like it.
Looking at the map, and there's Amana all over the place. I don't know if they just are like, whatever, just call it East, West, South Amana.
Well, maybe that's why they named it Shenanigans, because it's shenanigans to figure out where it is.
That probably could be true. I don't see a North Amana, though. There is a Norway, Iowa, that's appears to be a handful of miles north of that, but no North Amana.
Okay.
So maybe we'll go down there, we'll make our stamp on Iowa, and we'll pick a random intersection. That'll be North Amana. We'll be the founders.
Start our own little township.
Absolutely. So the Ox Yoke Inn, Millstream Brew House, or Brauhaus, Brauhaus, is how they spell it. But it's right on a little river, a little creek that kind of goes through town. It's the Mill Race River, but it's kind of by the Millstream is what they call it on their website. So kind of a interesting location, you know, but they're kind of taking the name from nearby things is kind of where they're coming up with the name. So
sure, you
got to kind of stay local when you can. So. But, yeah, Shenanigans is the beer today, Irish Red Ale. It is a 7.0 alcohol by volume. What else we got on here?
It was brought to you by Amanda. We got to call out Amanda. She's the one that suggested this one.
Yeah, she found it. She found it. And
a ferocious listener to the Two Guys in Beer podcast. So thank you, Amanda.
And if you have any recommendations, definitely reach out, comment on the different social media platforms, wherever it may be, YouTube, anything like that. And if there's something you want to hear, let us know. We'll try to be able to get your beer on there. And better yet, if you want to send it to us, I mean, like we can let us know. We'll go give you an address. You can send us some beer. Yeah. So we'll, got to give her appreciation for sure for giving that recommendation. And like I said before, who doesn't like some shenanigans in their life?
So we all do.
So as long as we're at it, let's go ahead and get some shenanigans going.
Oh. Such a great sound.
It's the best part of the podcast. I think I say that every time, but it's totally true.
That's probably when people swipe off after they hear it.
Right. Yeah. But that's right. That's why we don't do that till like a couple minutes. Right. We get the algorithm going. We're, it's totally fine. So it's pretty tasty. It's definitely a Irish red ale. It's what am I getting?
Like
almost more malty of a red ale than I've seen. This actually kind of, in a way, we're going to end up going deep on this one a little bit, but the red ale almost kind of brings me back to like what initially got me into brewing. And we've talked about this a little bit before.
Killian's.
Yep. Yeah. Killian's Irish Red. Part of the Tony Cole drinking tree. He showed up. He showed up at a party that I had in Princeton, and I was still kind of trying to figure out what I even liked at that time. And, some mixed drinks and, like Mike's Hard Lemonade, and wasn't really into beer, but it was kind of like I'll force some Mick Golden down or something just to kind of have whatever, because it was cheaper than anything else. And he showed up with that, and I had one of those. And from that point forward, it was every time I went into a liquor store was, well, I've never heard of that. I'm getting some of those. And I passed that along to my friend Joe, and then that's been passed along. And, we're passing it all forward. Of course, this was 2000 early.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah,
yes.
Probably 01-ish, 02-ish, kind of forever ago, living in Princeton and having good times over there.
You're dating us a little bit now.
Well, that we've talked about that too, that's why we're doing the podcast instead of playing sports.
It makes you wonder, like when you think back, like things that are 20 years ago, what you did with your life the past 20 years. Did you really do anything meaningful or that you wanted to do?
Well, it went by fast, that's for sure.
Yeah, it sure did, didn't it? I mean, if you think about it, hell, if we have 30, 35 more years left to live, man, that's going to be a good run. If you want to think of it negatively, you're like, dang, man, I got at 40 years old, 41, 30 more years, 70, 35, 75.
That's going to be the
We're
name
definitely in the second half.
Name of the episode today is going to be Shenanigans Got Dark.
Well, that's what the red ale does to me, I guess. I can't quite put a taste on my palate with this. I'm having a hard time with the taste of it. Like, I don't dislike it.
Yeah.
It is a little malty, I think, like you said, but it's not, I don't know. I have a hard time trying to come up with something to tell our listeners and, well, now some of our viewers what this, like the palate that it has.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. It's smooth, but it's definitely kind of that red ale type of feel. How was it? Eric the Red Ale, I think, was the name of it. That was actually the first beer that I brewed. It was a homebrew starter kit that I had done. Yeah, so that was not when I drilled the hole. That was that was when I did the second one. The first one, I just stood there and I stirred and like steam burnt my hand the entire time. But the second one is when I drilled the hole in the vent hood.
You still have to find that photo so we can show everybody the photo of that if you can dig it out somewhere.
I do have to get that out there. I know it exists. I know it's there, but just got to find it and get it out there. So yeah, so kind of talking a little bit more about Millstream Brewing. It's out of, as we mentioned before, Amana, Iowa. Started in 1985 with a dream and a small batch of German Pilsner. Perfect. Their website, millstreambrewing.com, under the About Us tab is where a lot of this information is going to come from. Today, they have definitely expanded. Their tap room features 20 rotating beers on tap and some of the best live music in the Midwest. Amana does not look like the largest of towns. It's kind of like some of the towns that are right near us right now, about that size. So not a massive town, but at the same time, they got some good music and some good beers going on. I'm in. I'm on my way. They also have the meat shop and smokehouse. So
what gets better than that? Freaking meat and beer.
Mm-hmm. And about a block and a half away is Hotel Millwright in Amana. And that's actually, it appears to be just on the other side of the block from Millstream Brewery. So we don't even have to try to come back that night.
Oh, perfect. That's great. You ever watch the Blue Collar Comedy Tour?
A little bit.
You're talking about meat and smokehouses and beer. Who is the Here's Your Sign guy? I can't think of his name right now. He's like, Here's Your Sign. Bill Engvall.
Bill Engvall. So I kept wanting to say Jeff Foxworthy, but that was, you might be a redneck.
He's the redneck one. So I like Bill Engvall. He's a pretty funny guy. You're talking about meat, smokehouses, and beer. One of his favorite snacks, he did this on one of the bits on one of his programs, was Slim Jims. His idea with the Slim Jim, his idea with the Slim Jim on one of his episodes or specials, 1 hour specials, he's like, I called Slim Jim, because they give you the number on the package. He's like, I gave him a call to give him an idea or a thing or two. His idea was, why don't you guys drill a hole in the center of a Slim Jim?
Like a straw?
Yeah. So I can put my Slim Jim in my beer, suck my beer up, and snap off a piece of Slim Jim at the end of the beer and eat that down. I'm like, that is a genius idea.
There you go. You'd probably be able to get some nice saltiness in there. I like it.
They should do that down here. If there's a smokehouse right next to this, I'm sure they have beef sticks.
Yeah.
They freaking bore a hole in the middle of like a real, like Slim Jims are kind of fake and gross. Like I want a real meat stick from a meat place.
I like it.
Smokehouse.
Yeah.
Usually those meat sticks are bigger than the Slim Jim. You could easily run a hole through the center there, suck up your beer, snap off a piece of meat.
Oh, absolutely. It sounds awfully delightful. I like it.
Sounds like a great idea to me.
Yeah.
And we haven't even had a full beer yet, and the good ideas are coming. But
oh, it's going to be a brilliant night tonight, folks. You make sure you strap in and get ready to go.
Technically, that was a Bill Engvall idea, but I can steal it, right?
Yeah.
Why
yeah.
not?
Well,
Right,
we're supporting. We're moving it forward.
Right.
So that's what it
We're
is.
moving it forward.
Let's see here. What else do we got? So, like I mentioned, the 20 rotating taps that they have in there. Best live music in the Midwest. It's quite the boast, but I'm willing to go find out. Right on the banks of the Amana Millstream, which I had said before is the Mill Race River that comes kind of, again, it goes through the Lily Pond that's kind of right in that area that's just off of the Iowa River, which kind of goes through most of the middle part of Iowa. Iowa.
Perfect.
But yeah, that's kind of where they're situated. That's what's going on there. Team Millstream is proud to partner with several charities. We've talked numerous times about that, how many brewers like to try to give it back as much as they possibly can.
That's just awesome.
It's stellar to be able to see stuff like that. And so they work with the Children's Cancer Connection and Willis Dady Hops for Housing, because you got to get hops in there somewhere.
Yep.
And then the Stead, Stead, Stead.
Final answer?
Stead. Stead Family Children's Hospital. Just some of the places that benefit for that. They also, because you got to do something with the spent grains. What are you going to do with it? Cows.
Oh,
I know
perfect.
that sounds.
And then you eat the steak.
It doesn't sound like you would have much availability for that, but in Iowa, they do have some farms with cows.
I've never heard of such a thing in Iowa.
Yep. That's probably why they have some pretty happy cows, I'm guessing. So
they're drinking.
they're giving a lot back and trying to be able to do that. So kind of a cool thing. They've grown over the course of the years. And I remember I have not had Shenanigans, but I've had Millstream before. But I'm trying to remember, it was like a farmhouse red ale. So I may have had a similar ale years ago, actually at the bar. We did a tasting one night and I had a couple of different Millstream ones. Those that aren't aware, I had a bar for a couple of years, went okay, and then it didn't, and so I don't have that. But we did a tasting, and I think that was, looking back on it, it was probably before its time because the community probably wasn't real jazzed about a lot of like craft beer. And so I bring in this buffet table with like 20 different craft beers and got everything laid out there on ice, and like 5 people showed up.
Yeah, I forget when your bar was open, craft beer wasn't really quite a thing yet. I mean, it was kind of in its infancy, because the laws got relaxed in a lot of places in order to brew craft beer in smaller little breweries. But yeah, it really wasn't quite there when you had it. There was a couple.
I had...
Not like it is today.
I had a tap system that had 12 taps, and I really wanted that. When I first met with vendors, I really wanted to make sure that I had 12 taps because I knew I was going to be required to have the Coors Light, Miller Lite, Mick Golden Light, things like that or whatever to be able to have on there. But I knew at that time that I really liked craft beer and it's growing every year. And that's kind of the trend. And I wanted to make sure I'm not going to be able to make a decision with whatever. And they're like, well, you're going to have more inventory. And I'm like, I don't care. I want to have additional beers. Right. And so I had more taps than almost any of the bars in Isanti County at the time.
Oh, for sure. I remember when you had 12, I was like, what? 12? I'm like, hell yeah.
I want to say
sweet.
The other one that was in town, I think had 3. And the one north of town, I think had maybe 5. But it was like 3 on one spot and then like a little kegerator thing in the back.
Yeah.
I want to say there was a place in Cambridge that had, like, I think Sidelines had maybe more. But it was like...
It wasn't craft beer, though. It was more...
Well, because they would have... They're like, we have 20 taps, but they have 10 here and 10 there, and they're the same.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, you have 10 tap or 20 tap handles, but you have 10 beers, really, is what you have.
Right.
So, like, there was some things like that or whatever. So, like, I think I had a better on-tap variety. But, again, before my time, I was so far out in front.
You were so far ahead, man. It was ridiculous. Andy, did anybody tell you you're a visionary? I'm going to have to make sure Amanda's very aware of that next time I see her.
You should probably relay that to her.
Andy is such a visionary. You married such an amazing man.
Yep.
You just don't know what you have.
Absolutely. I think that she's thought that many times, usually probably while rolling her eyes. I think she's kind of, he's got a vision, all right.
Vision for drinking some beer, good craft beer.
It is kind of funny though. Like anytime, like if I have an idea, because when you're a visionary, you have ideas and they roll around and you got to throw them out there to somebody, right?
You have to.
And usually so I was thinking.
You have to set them free.
And even as soon as I get to that point, the response is, oh, geez. That's usually what happens. So
here we go again.
That's likely the type of response that I'll likely get. And that's probably what I'll hear, after the visionary comments. I'll get more eye rolling and she'll laugh and heckle me and whatever. But that's fine.
It's okay, Amanda. Andy is not too wild.
It's true. Yeah, I'm not super calm.
He's pretty tame.
Yep. So Millstream, back to what
back to the brewery
we're talking about here. So Millstream, as I mentioned, 1985 started with a small batch of German Pilsner. They make a little bit more than that now. Last year, it just says today. I'm assuming that's probably last year's numbers. 8,000 barrels. Wow, that's what they had for distributors. So we've talked a little bit about barrels and quantity and everything with that before. And so
how many gallons per barrel for the average barrel?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so they, that also counts beer and soda because they also make some of their own sodas as well. So they definitely churn out a lot of different options and a lot of different things out there. So kind of fun to be able to see a lot of that. I'm going to see if I can't find the Shenanigans on their website here to see if there's any specific, some details of some stuff on here. But now we wait. I should have just clicked on it before and then not had to worry about it.
Loading.
Right.
Loading.
Which is probably just my fault because it's my phone. It's trying to do it, but that's fine. It's fine. I'm fine.
Well, I can throw out a fact of St. Patrick's Day since this is kind of a St. Patrick's Day episode.
There we are.
So the real St. Patrick, of course, which St. Patrick's Day is named after, he was born in 385 AD.
Ooh.
So it was a long time. It was like the 16th, 17th century, somewhere in there. Don't quote me because I don't know. I'm just throwing shit out there because
I like it.
We create bullshit. And he died in 461.
Oh, wow.
And he also is not a native of Ireland or from Ireland or was born there or anything. Did you know St. Patrick was born in Britain?
Huh. I mean, I guess it's part of the expanded United Kingdom, I guess, if you will, as part of that. But, interesting.
Yeah, he was born in Britain near the end of the 4th century. At age 16, he was kidnapped by Irish raiders and sold as a slave to a Celtic priest.
Oh, so there's the Celtic side coming in.
Yeah.
Not in a positive way.
No, he was crazy to think that. Of course, I never knew that prior. I had to look this stuff up on my notes and stuff. But yeah, he was sold as a slave to a Celtic priest in the area that's now known as Northern Ireland. So they forced him to be a shepherd for about 6 years, and he escaped back to Britain. But he eventually actually returned to Ireland as a Christian missionary.
Huh.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. I understand. And I'm sure there's probably limited, what you can do because I'm sure room and board and just heat and all the basic necessities of life. Yeah. We'll go with life. The bare necessities, as Baloo would probably sing if he were to be here too. But things like that. But it's kind of odd that they forced him to be a shepherd for 6 years. Which is...
That was him being a slave. Yeah.
Go out into this wide open field where nobody can see you for acres. And we'll see you later tonight.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm. And don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it was good and glorious or anything like that. But it just seems like kind of one of those like, over here where nobody's looking? This way? Okay. Yeah, I'll be back later, guys. Right. Or something.
There you go. Yeah.
So, but that's amazing. He came back again later.
Interesting. He was swiped up by Irish raiders. I didn't know the Irish raided people. I think of like the Vikings and the Northmen and things like that that raided and pillaged and things, not Irish people. Apparently the Irish had raiders and they raided St. Patrick and stole.
And Oakland and now Vegas.
Right.
But now the
Los
Ireland.
Angeles.
Right, exactly. The Dublin Raiders.
So,
okay.
yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
Cool. So I did find some tasting notes here eventually. You stalled long enough for me to be able to actually get
What's
there.
it loaded?
Let's see here. 7% ABV. We talked about that before. 25 IBU. So not tremendously bitter, which is not terribly breaking
it's not
news.
bitter at all. It tastes well. Like, I do enjoy this beer. I still can't articulate the flavor on my tongue.
So what Millstream articulates.
What do they articulate?
They say that their tasting notes don't let the hazy amber appearance of this ale fool you. Charming malty notes in the smooth body make it easy to get in some real shenanigans. So
Perfect.
That's kind of what they do.
Perfect.
Flavor profile, full, smooth, sweet, malty, creamy, mellow.
Well, you called them out. The creamy, I can taste the creamy.
Mhm.
What else we got in there?
Full, smooth, sweet, malty, mellow.
It is smooth, mellow, huh? I suppose so. Yeah, I suppose that's a good articulation.
Yeah, because it's not bam in your face.
No, it's not.
Bam.
It's smooth. The lawnmower rating? What's your lawnmower rating? 1 to 5 lawnmowers.
I'd probably drink some on a lawnmower, but I don't think I'm having 5 of them on the lawnmower.
I would agree with that.
Probably a couple of them for sure.
Maybe
'cause it
one
is good.
on the lawnmower and one off the lawnmower.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not just going after it all night long. They have a thing even on their website here. It is perfect for spring, summer, autumn, winter, camping, hiking, grilling, tailgating, sporting events, parties, pool days, game night, and concerts.
Perfect.
So if you're doing something, this is perfect for it. Yeah, it's just perfect for it. So, yeah, that's the kind of the breakdown of Shenanigans there on their website. So
perfect. All right, that's awesome. Leprechauns are likely based on Celtic fairies.
They're not part of the Raiders, are they?
They might raid. They do have powers.
I suppose that could be the Air Force version of.
Have you ever met a leprechaun?
I've not.
Neither have I.
No. No. Nope.
Apparently, yeah, they think the leprechauns, the whole thing with the hat and the clothes and the this and the that, kind of all came from their belief in Celtic fairies. They kind of took that and it kind of transformed over the years into leprechauns, which you now see everywhere for St. Patrick's Day.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I have so the local brewery does trivia every other Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we've talked about that before or whatever. So it's coming up. They're having St. Patty's Day trivia.
I'm got you loaded now. Hey, anybody ready to go? I got you loaded right
there. We go. So we're going to be all over it. We're basically in training mode is what we're doing, is what's happening. We're studying is what's going on. But so I have now the big green hat with the beard, and it even came with double-sided tape eyebrows. Very light brown, almost reddish.
So are you going to send me a photo of this so we can post it on our social media for all our viewers and listeners?
I'll just send you a picture of Amanda because she's already taken the picture, so it's fine.
That'd be cool.
Our team name is generally Here for the Beer, but we're going to do Here for the Shenanigans.
Perfect.
For that one. So
that's awesome. Shenanigans. Again, here we go. All right. Well, we'll go over some more facts.
Yeah. What else you got here? We got to get this trivia training.
We got to get you ready to go here.
Mm-hmm.
The shamrock was considered a sacred plant. Did you know that? It was sacred.
I mean, it sounds right, because I know that even having clover fields, not the movie, the actual fields, growing up on a farm, finding that 4-leaf clover was kind of a thing.
Right.
So
the shamrock, a 3-leaf clover is what you really want. But of course, the 4-leaf ones they're the lucky ones. Right. Yeah. So the 3-leaf clover, it's been associated with Ireland for centuries. It was called something I can't pronounce because I can't read this right now for some reason. So we'll keep on moving.
All right.
It was considered a sacred plant that symbolized the arrival of spring. According to legend, St. Patrick used the plant as a visual guide for explaining the Holy Trinity. So St. Patrick, which St. Patrick's Day is named after, when those bloomed and stuff, that's when he knew it was time to talk about the Holy Trinity and used it as a visual guide for explaining that. By the 17th century, the shamrock had become a symbol of emerging Irish nationalism.
Interesting.
Facts.
Facts.
Smarter. Just look up.
Smarter.
There we go.
Be more smarter.
Keep this in mind for next. So the very first St. Patrick's Day parade.
Very first. Now, was this, I'm interested even like how it went from the guy just came back as a missionary to becoming the actual St. Patrick.
I don't have all those details, but they call him a patron, I think, if I remember right. Mm-hmm. They like the Catholic Church makes you patrons or something.
Yeah, patron saint of something.
He was never actually ordained as a patron because that whole service or ceremony to make people a patron didn't even happen until a couple hundred years after he died.
Mm.
So he's like an official patron without being an official patron.
So he's a posthumous patron.
he's
posthumously patroned. Yeah.
Right.
I like it.
So that's about the best I can tell you from that anyways.
Okay.
And from what I was reading, anybody could correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but there's only like 3 or 4 patrons of Ireland that went through the whole ceremony, and they're 1 female and like 3 or 4 males or something. That's just what I briefly was reading. I was reading about St. Patrick's Day. But the female one, I know she has her own holiday. I recall that. But if I'm wrong, please correct me. Again, we just do a bunch of bullshit on the show, so that's what we do. So the first St. Patrick's Day parade, believe it or not, it was held here in America.
Oh.
Can you believe that? Isn't that goofy?
Well, I have heard that it is kind of an American thing, but...
Kind of, the parade anyways, yeah.
Right.
So the people in Ireland had celebrated St. Patrick since the 1600s. The tradition of the St. Patrick's Day parade, though, began in America, and it actually predates the founding of the United States. So they're already having parades on St. Patrick's Day in America before we were in the U.S. or the United States.
The Eastern Territories, or I suppose Western for that, the Western Territories of England.
Pretty much. And actually, it's even before that, I suppose. Because records show that a St. Patrick's Day parade was held on, the first one that they have documentation of, was held on March 17th, 1601.
Wow.
And that was a Spanish colony. Remember the Spanish pretty much dominated the southern part of the now United States, which is now it's called St. Augustine, of course, which is in Florida. So in 1601, the first documented St. Patrick's Day parade happened in what is present-day St. Augustine, Florida. The parade and St. Patrick's Day celebration a year earlier was organized by a Spanish colony, and that's when it happened. More than a century later, Irish soldiers that were serving in the English military, bringing up the English over here in the United States, were homesick, so they decided to hold their own St. Patrick's Day parade.
There you go.
In 1737 in Boston. So that was the next one.
There we are.
I like Boston. I like American history a lot. I know a lot about that, but I didn't know anything about the St. Patrick's Day parade. So, and they also did it in New York City on March 17th. And of course, it only grew from there. And the parade just kept on going and going. And of course, the worldwide now, there's over 600 St. Patrick's Day parades in the United States throughout everything.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So that's kind of neat. And of course, a lot of people associate the Irish with St. Patrick's Day because that's where he was and St. Patrick's Day and stuff. But of course, the Irish were slaves in the United States at one point in time, and they were scorned upon and looked down upon as these crazy people. And why that happened was they weren't really celebrated by Americans or in America because the reason they came here was in 1845. If you remember, we've all heard about this in the history books and stuff at one point in time, the potato famine over in Ireland, and millions of people starved and died over there. Well, over 3 million Irish immigrated to the United States. And the present people, of course, in the United States didn't like that because they didn't have anything. They were wearing clothes that were 30 and 40 years old. They looked ratted. They looked tatted. And, of course, the little welfare systems that existed back then, whether you're pro-welfare or not, the Irish,
regardless, at that time, probably
were recipients of it. And, of course, back then, people weren't as receptive to welfare benefits as they are today, so that they were looked down upon because they were receiving those type of welfare benefits and everything back then. So that's kind of the whole the brief Irish thing. for that. Another fact. Are you ready for your trivia yet?
I'm ready for trivia.
Perfect.
I should say I'm more prepared for the trivia. I won't say that I'm fully ready for it because you're never fully ready. Always keep improving.
Yeah, that's what you do. Going back to this, from when the Irish actually came to the United States, over 1/4 of the Irish population, to put it in perspective, came to the United States during that whole potato famine. 1/4.
Oh, wow.
So that's pretty crazy. I thought that was pretty crazy. And of course, they were on skilled labor compared to what we had going on here and the drain on the welfare system, which they were looked upon pretty poorly. And of course, what's interesting about that, of course, you have this big movement today about slavery and this and that and whatever you get into with that. Everybody always forgets about the Irish that were slaves too.
Right. Yep.
There's
a whole segment of that population that was
should be talked about more. So now you're ready to go for that trivia thing. Do you like corned beef? I like corned beef. Corned beef is amazing food.
To be perfectly honest, I'm not even 100% sure that I've ever had corned beef. Mostly because I think in my mind, it sounds like it wouldn't be good. And so I don't know that I've had it. I know. I throw the judgment and cast it aside to me.
I love corned beef. It's one of my favorites.
I'm sure I probably have at one point, but not that I can remember.
Of course, that's associated with St. Patrick's Day.
Yep.
Corned beef and cabbage.
Mm-hmm. Cabbage, I'm not a huge fan of. I've tried, and I like the idea of it. Like always want to get like an egg roll or, things like that. I'm
sure.
And then I'm kind of like, it's fine, but it's not something that, like, I don't get wild about cabbage at all. Like sauerkraut is just, I'm going to walk into traffic or something. I just can't do that. But some people just love it. Can't get enough of it.
I like raw cabbage. You just crack a leaf off the head and put a little salt on it and eat it. Like cooked is okay. Like I like it cooked with the corned beef, but sauerkraut and stuff, I'm not a fan. Do you know corned beef is an English dish and not an Irish dish? It's kind of funny how it turns up on St. Patrick's Day.
Exactly.
English and not Irish. But of course, it became a St. Patrick's Day staple across the country. Corned beef and cabbage. It actually, even when you put the two together, it was an American innovation. So again, we started the parades, we started the corned beef. What are the Irish doing? Where are you guys at? You're supposed to be starting this stuff.
Right.
Why are we starting it here in America?
We were honoring them. That's what it is.
I don't think so. We suck at that stuff.
I know. Yeah, we're not very good at any.
But the original dish over in Ireland is it's ham and cabbage.
Interesting.
That's the original dish, and it changed to corned beef in America because corned beef is cheaper for the Irish immigrants that came over here than ham was at the time. Now it's the other way around. Corned beef costs more than ham, but back then corned beef was cheaper, so that's what they had here in America. Thus, the corned beef and cabbage is how it came about.
I like it.
Yeah. Another fact done.
Nailed it. See, now I'm going to be. Whatever categories they have next week is just going to be right to the top. Just put me at the top of the leaderboard. Don't even question.
I can't wait. I'm going to have to come observe.
There you go. You can cheer me on.
I'll put little clips on Facebook.
You're going to sit back there and you're just going to judge me and be like, we talked about this. You don't remember?
Andy and the two guys in beer trivia. Here we go. St. Patrick's Day has been observed by the Irish as a religious holiday for more than 1,000 years.
Wow.
That's a long time.
That's a religious holiday.
It's a great time. I just like the food.
I should get that worked into my contract for work for it to be a day off. Actually, I want the next day off.
right, exactly.
I don't care about that day.
Come home at 5 p.m., then worry about the next day.
Exactly. Yeah. Can I have it be an observed holiday?
Right. So, of course, green is synonymous with St. Patrick's Day, but the original color of St. Patrick's Day was not green. It was blue. And, of course, the blue was featured both in the royal court and on ancient Irish flags. In 1798, the color green became officially associated with the day. I don't know why green.
I was going to say, because isn't the Irish flag, isn't it green, white, and orange?
I believe so. That's the Ireland flag. Yeah. 3 stripes.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know why they changed it from blue to green, but apparently back in the 1700s and prior, it was blue was the color for St. Patrick's Day.
Interesting.
Of course, St. Patrick's Day's parades are held all across the United States that we already talked about.
Over 600.
Over 600. Almost 12% of all Americans claim Irish ancestry, which is funny because more people of Irish ancestry live in the United States than actually live in Ireland.
The math checks out on that,
I suppose that makes sense. It's not like Ireland's huge or anything.
Right.
But it's just kind of interesting how more Irish people, or they claim they're Irish.
Right.
A lot of people claim they're Irish on St. Patrick's
Exactly.
Day. So when did they take
March
that stat?
March 17th is exactly like all of a sudden there's 80% Irish in the States. I claim no Irish background at all. I guess I've never done the cheek swab DNA test thing, not for crime stuff, for the history. I've never done anything like that at all. But I don't think that I have any. There's no Irish at all in my head. It's all just Swedish and Norwegian. And the Swedes will tell you that Sweden owned Norway at the time. So you're 100% Swedish is what they told me at one point. That's about all I got, I think, as far as my background. But
yeah, I don't have any Irish. I've never done the ancestry.com thing, but
right.
My family is Norwegian, Swedish, Dutch, German. Pretty much most of the Scandinavian countries in this part of our state is most of them, In 1762, we already talked about, the New York City parade started with people in the military that were homesick. So they started their own St. Patrick's Day parades here in the country. The first one took place in 1762 with over 150,000 people.
Oh, wow.
In 1762. I couldn't believe
that many people in that time frame.
Right, in that setting, doing those things.
I can't imagine there's much for plumbing.
Probably not back then. In fact, the first toilet was put in Seattle, actually. I learned that when I was in Seattle, since you brought up plumbing and whatever.
So not in New York in 1760.
York,
no, okay.
No, John Crapper.
There we go.
That was his name, actually.
Yep. I think I remember that. I think I have heard that before. So I didn't know the Seattle part, but I think I have heard that name.
It was in Seattle, yeah. So the St. Patrick's Day Parade, it is the world's oldest civilian parade, that original one in New York City, and it's the largest in the United States.
Wow. Yeah. That is, it's not terribly surprising that they'd have the largest one, but, that is pretty interesting.
Currently, more than 3 million people line the parade route as of today to take part in the St. Patrick's Day Parade, and the route to the parade is 1.5 miles long, and it takes more than 5 hours for the parade to come to an end.
Oh, wow.
So this next one, we all know this happens. I was curious about this. The Chicago River. Of course, we all know that gets dyed green.
Yep.
And it looks green as hell, man. It looks like fungus.
It looks kind of green often, but that's not a positive way.
Yeah. So the whole system, they've been dyeing that river green on St. Patrick's Day since 1962. When the first year they ever dyed the river, they used over 100 pounds of dye to dye the river. That kept the river green for almost a week. Today, they don't use quite that much. They only use 40 pounds of green dye color to dye the river.
That's still enough.
Yeah, because look how green it looks when you see that on TV and when they post it all over social media and stuff. But they do that for environmental reasons, of course. But you think you would use more dye and more things like that when you're dyeing that much of a river, that many gallons of water. So they only use 40 pounds of dye, and it lasts for up to about 5 hours. Is about how long it lasts. And, of course, Guinness. Let's talk about Guinness. This is two guys in the beer. So we're going to talk about Guinness for a minute. Of course, Guinness is an Irish beer. It's a dark beer. I haven't had it for a long time. I'll have to try it again on my older palate. My younger palate didn't like Guinness so much.
Right.
We'll have to do a show on that, maybe.
It's kind of crazy how, people say, there's certain things that are an acquired taste. But isn't it kind of funny how you'll have, not only the acquired taste, but you'll have I've acquired this taste, but now this tastes different.
Right.
The developed taste, I guess, is what I'd call it.
I like that. Yeah, the developed. I do like that a lot.
More of that forward-thinking stuff.
You're on it.
Visionary stuff.
Amanda, pay attention. Pay attention to this.
Yep. This is high-level stuff we're talking about.
So Guinness, of course, they just St. Patrick's Day alone, they double their sales.
Oh, I bet. That's not surprising at all.
Compared to regular days. They sell, according to their numbers, 5.5 million pints of Guinness is sold on St. Patrick's Day. You count that, right?
No.
Where it's all sold, I don't know. If it's the world or
that's still,
Ireland.
Yeah. That's still a lot.
5 million pints of Guinness.
That's a lot of pints.
That's a lot of Guinness.
And you got to prepare for that, too, because you got to start making that weeks ahead of time, make sure it's bottled and ready and settled and ready for distribution.
Shake it up a little bit, whatever you got to do.
Put the little ball bearing or whatever.
Yes.
Get her going.
I was just thinking of that, actually.
The marble.
I remember that, shaking it up. I think the first time I ever had one was at your house in Cambridge when you were renting that house behind
Could be. Probably could be.
I think it was Tanner that busted it out, actually.
I was going to say, I don't remember that I ever bought that. Yeah, he probably got that because he thought it was cool with the ball bearing or marble or whatever it was.
I think that's what it was. And then he was laughing at me because I was like, I don't know about this.
Which,
back then,
he does not exactly have the greatest beer palate of all time.
We were like 22 at the time.
Right. I don't think any of us had a very good beer palate at the time.
No, not at all. I mean, I was drinking Miller High Life.
That's true. But that's a good choice, though.
It wasn't too
Especially
bad.
You get like a nice warm summer day. It's good stuff.
A lot of Grain Belt premium. A lot of liquor back then. I drank a lot more liquor when I was younger. Now I'm not so keen on the liquor as much, but yeah. So we talked about the longest St. Patrick's Day parade.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the shortest.
Oh, here we go.
This is going to put you over the top.
This is
do your trivia.
This is next level type of stuff. This is elite level.
Arkansas.
Arkansas.
They have the shortest parade.
How short is the shortest parade?
98 feet.
I feel like the lineup would be longer than the actual parade route.
That's a disrespect to Irish people in the St. Patrick.
8 feet. That's like just slightly more than running from first base to second base in baseball.
By 8 feet. Yeah, it's 90 feet.
That's how about that?
That's
98 feet.
Hey, reserve your spot now.
I was going to say that you still probably got the old ladies that are like setting out their lawn chair 3 days ahead of time, making sure they got their parade spot, secured.
Put their chair down.
Public Works is coming out there, kicking it off to the side. Get out of here, Ethel. You got to know you got to wait.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was pretty crazy. I'm like, 98 feet. What are you doing at 98 feet?
Right. You're just trying to set a record at that point in time. And you're probably running into, at 98 feet long, I bet you that was probably a matter of, there was like a float that was that long.
That would be surprising. That's just,
I'm guessing, but
that's less than 2 semi-trailers.
Yeah.
A 53-foot semi-trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, that's possible. Yeah.
Huh. That's 98 feet. That is something else.
Crazy.
Huh. What else we got?
Churches.
Got more trivia?
How many churches do you know that are named St. Patrick?
I'm guessing there's probably a handful of them.
There's about 450 of them.
Give or take?
Give or take, yep. And of course, St. Patrick's Cathedral over in New York, the big popular one, draws in about 5.5 million tourists every year.
That's a lot.
It sure is. And I'm out of facts.
You're out of facts. Out of facts.
No cool stories. A lot of cool facts. Andy's going to win some trivia.
It's a lot of, I'm going to win trivia. You're going to have to make sure you keep tuned to the podcast to get the results moving forward, because you got to be able to know what they're doing here. So while you were kind of talking about that a little bit, I kind of a little bit went down. So I think I said before that I had kind of an idea of something I was going to talk about. We're going to go ahead and scrap that. I'm going to crumple that up and I'm going to toss it.
Okay.
Because I kind of went down the old Amana rabbit hole.
Oh, you went down the Amana.
Amana.
Amana?
A-M-A-N-A. Amana.
How do you pronounce that? Let us know.
Amana.
It's probably Amana.
I'm hoping so. That's what I'm
Don't
going
you need
for.
an E at the end? Because the E at the end makes the A go A. Otherwise, it's ah or something. You remember that? That's what I remember.
I'm kind of guessing at this point. We'll have to go again. We're going to have to go there on the summer tour to the Amana colonies, is what it is.
Perfect.
So it is actually, so there is Amana that we talked about, the where Millstream is, but it is a colony that is 7 villages on 26,000 acres, which is about the size of a township for Minnesota.
Okay.
Just for comparison wise, if you're not familiar, Google what your local jurisdiction is, I guess. I don't really know. It's about the same size as like some of the townships in our area, at least. So roughly speaking, that's kind of what you're looking at. In Iowa, East Central Iowa, with a handful of different locations, what happened is it was German state government. Villages were built and settled by German radical pietists, I believe, that were persecuted by their homeland, German state government and Lutheran church, and kicked them right out of there. So they settled at one point in that area. They survived basically self-sufficient with the local economy, just self-sufficient for 80 years, living kind of a communal life until about 1932. So they kind of moved into that area about 1856 and until about 1932. They kind of got hit hard with the Great Depression. They ended up creating a nonprofit organization that kind of helped with that a little bit called the Amana Society, which included the Amana Corporation. I'm not sure if that's the Amana brand appliances. I don't think so, but that's what the Amana Corporation is. That, that is. The Amana Corporation, an American brand of household appliances founded in 1934 by George Forstner, the electrical equipment company in Middle Amana, Iowa, to manufacture commercial walk-in coolers.
Wow.
So this is that Amana.
That is that Amana.
We have now learned a little bit about that. The 7 villages are a tourist attraction for their restaurants and craft shops. They are also a National Historic Landmark as of 1965. The organizations in the area, or the cities, if you will, or villages, I guess you could call them, is what they list them on here. Middle Amana, or Main Amana, population 442. Wow. But that's a pretty good sized brewery for that area.
No kidding.
South Amana, Homestead, West Amana, High Amana, and East Amana. So
Amanas.
It's Amana, Middle Amana, South Amana, West Amana, High Amana, East Amana, and Homestead.
Perfect. What's the total population of all that?
It's going to be probably about 1,500.
Wow.
Middle Amana is the biggest at 581. Amana at 442. South Amana is third at 159.
Well, I know what they're doing on a Friday night. They're going to the brewery.
They're having some of that.
One of them meat sticks from the place next door.
Absolutely. They're going to go have some shenanigans, and they're going to listen to the best live music in the Midwest.
Perfect.
Is what they're going to be doing. So if you're from the Amana area, reach out. We're going to come hang out with you.
Yes,
we want to be able to come and see it. Absolutely want to come and be able to check that out. So that should be part of the summer tour.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly.
Why wouldn't we? Because shenanigans.
Shenanigans. Right.
That's what we're really all about. That's kind of what I live my life with. But, it's fine. Don't worry about it. That's what I like to be able to do.
All right.
So
I concur.
What else you got today, Sean? Any more trivia?
I have no trivia.
Set for facts
no
there.
Stories, no facts. I fact it out.
We kind of went down the rabbit hole of St. Patrick and his details and the Amana brand colony.
There's a lot more into St. Patrick, of course, if you look him up and do more. It's quite interesting how he was kind of like stolen and comes back and he turns into a patron, but he's not technically a patron, but he's a patron and all that stuff. It's pretty interesting.
If you have some good facts that you might know, verified or not, maybe if they're not, that might actually make it more fun. But if you put, that maybe in the comments to the video, whether it be on YouTube, Facebook, whatever it may be that you are consuming our podcast while we are consuming shenanigans, go ahead. Get back to us. Definitely give us some feedback. But if you have some facts, some random facts, we'd like to be able to hear some stuff. So throw it out there.
We like
to be able to see what's going on. And to a certain extent, it's good to be able to have a true fact, but it's also kind of fun to let's see what's the most off the wall thing that we can come up with on that one.
Let it rip.
I have faith in our listeners to be able to come up with something really good.
They're pretty smart. They're smarter than we are.
Obviously, that's just a given thing. Yeah, that's kind of what we got today.
Perfect. Yeah, I don't really have anything else. Thanks a lot for listening, watching, all this stuff. Let us know. We appreciate all the support. Again, this is just fun for us. We're having a great time doing it. It's growing. Thanks to everybody watching, paying attention. We really appreciate it. Get yourself some Shenanigans if it's available in your area. Thanks a lot, everybody. Appreciate it.
And we'll wrap things up. I do have to pass along. I apologize for not wearing the pajama pants today, but trying something a little bit different for today's episode. But maybe next time. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But until then, cheers, everybody.
Cheers.